Okay, here we are again. Welcome back, everybody. This is the We Quit Booze Brothers, which is a podcast where we try to have honest, no fluff conversations about our various experiences of quitting alcohol. And with me, as always, is my brother Matt. Hello, Matt.
Good morning, Mark. Yes, we are back again, and thank you to all our listeners, watchers, however you consume this. Thank you for being part of all this. We super appreciate it. I don't think we talk enough about that. We are tiny, but we do this because we love doing it, and we really love your comments. Please subscribe, give us a thumbs up, leave a comment. It's so good. It really helps us to shape this channel and the things we talk about. So yeah, and it's another Sunday morning. I've actually got our father is over here this week, so we might have to have a bit of a quick session today. But we wanted to get talking to you folks because we've got a pretty cool topic for this morning. So without further ado, Mark, I'll let you introduce it.
Yeah, for sure. Cool. Okay. All of that. Yes, absolutely. So. Look, this conversation that we want to have, I think it's a really interesting one actually, and I'm sort of surprised. I was looking back over the various videos that we've done, that we've touched on this subject, and it comes up, and we do talk about it, but I don't think we've ever done a dedicated podcast on it, and it's one that I think, because we have to be a bit quick today, we'll probably continue and have more conversations on, because when I think about it, I think for me, this was the biggest trapdoor of all. This was, I think, the thing that probably kept me going with alcohol a lot longer than I think I would have done if I wasn't falling into this trap. And the trap is the myth of moderation. And it's a really, really, really fascinating one for me. Matt, without stealing your thunder, because I'm sure you're going to talk about this, you've got a phrase that you use often, and I think it's even in your book, where you say, if you have to think about moderation, you cannot moderate. It's because those who don't have any problem with moderating alcohol, they don't think about it. It's not on their mind. And to just give you an insight into my world, the extent to which it was always on my mind. So I did this thing where I figured out that 4 drinks was kind of the tipping point for me. So if I had, it's still quite a lot of alcohol, 4 drinks is not nothing. So 4 drinks might typically mean 4 glasses of wine, or it might mean 4 beers. I suppose in theory it could mean 2 or 3 beers and a whiskey or a brandy. But I'd figured out in my sort of illogically wired, sort of prioritize alcohol over everything else brain, that was my, and so I came up with this rule for myself that 4 drinking is happy drinking. If I do just have 4 drinks, I can have a nice night, I can enjoy the buzz of the alcohol, and I don't really suffer too many of the consequences. How many times do you think I managed to stick to the 4 drink rule?
Do you want me to answer that?
No, it's a rhetorical question. You don't need, you can. And there's a great saying by another author who it escapes me to, we should, before we say these things, we should at least try and do a bit of research so we can share who it is that we're talking about. But he said the only drink he had any control over was the first one. And that was me. That was me all over. Like if I hadn't been drinking, if I was sober, to some extent I could control whether I had a drink. I wanted to go out and have a few drinks, but I was sort of able to, which is why it was a bit all or nothing for me. I could go a few days without it. But for those of us who suffer from overindulgence, which was very much my domain, alcohol changes your brain chemistry and it changes the way you see the world. And 4 drinks in, that version of me is now no longer the same version that I was before those 4 drinks. And I could never, ever control it. I've read stories about guys that would set up time-restricted safes. So they would put the alcohol in a safe and it would only open between 6 and 8 o'clock in the evening on a Friday and a Saturday, and they would try it that way. The lengths that we would go to try to moderate are all the evidence you need that it's impossible, that you cannot moderate, and that the sooner you come to the realization that it's not about moderation, it's about abstinence, the better off you'll be. And the last point I'll make is that there's a really good book written by a guy called Alan Carr, originally famous for the Easy Way to Give Up Smoking books that he wrote late, sort of early, I don't know, I want to say 80s or something, quite a while ago. He's also written a really, really good book called, it's called The Easy Way to Control Alcohol. And what's great about that book is you pick that up thinking, oh, this is good, because this is going to teach me how to moderate. This is going to teach me how to control. Without giving too much away, it completely does not do that. What it ends up doing is it ends up through chapter after chapter of proof after proof after proof of how much better the world is, how much more beneficial your life is, how much more energy, how much more money you save, the weight you lose, the sleep that you get back, the control, the sort of brain fog, the lack of brain fog. Right? Eventually he goes, the best way to control alcohol is to just not do it. And like I said, it was the biggest trapdoor for me. It was the biggest trapdoor. Excuse me. Excuse me. I'm recovering from a really bad cold, and excuse me. Part of the problem is I get these coughing bouts, which out of nowhere. So I think I'm on top of it. So yeah, it was a really. Like I say, it was a trapdoor's a good analogy, because I felt I was safe. I felt that I had it under control, but the opposite was true. I better hand over to you, Max. I think I'm about to have another.
Let me take over. Absolutely. You know what? Anybody watching, we don't we do cut things out sometimes, but mostly it's live. We just do this in one shot. And Mark has actually been genuinely ill all week. We actually moved this call to another time because he's been suffering, and now he's given it to his wife, so she's delighted, as you can imagine. Moderation. Honestly, what a topic, I guess, is how I want to start. So, what is moderation? That's the question. Do you go via the recommended health guidelines of X amount of units per week, or a glass a day, or half a beer, or whatever it is? What is moderation? And I think the mad thing about moderation is when you drink, you kind of make up those limits of moderation. I can strongly remember drinking a bottle of wine on a Tuesday night, and me thinking, as long as I only have that bottle of wine, I have no more, then that's probably okay. People drink a bottle of wine. You look at people who live in Greece or France or, the Mediterranean, they have a bottle of wine. That's all right, isn't it? It's the evening, I'm an adult. Is that moderation? The reality is no, it's not. And what you said, the comment around people who don't need to moderate, don't think about moderation. It's so true. I have friends, my wife, who will drink one glass of wine. She doesn't feel the need to have another one. She doesn't want to have another one. She is effectively moderating in the terms of what whoever made up this term moderation for alcohol is. So yeah, it's just, it really is an absolute fast. I think, my personal opinion, the fact that it's written on wine bottles is just a joke. It really is, or alcohol. I assume it's the same around the world. Maybe some of our viewers, I don't know, you lived in the US, Mark. I assume there's some sort of health warning. But over here in France, it says consume with moderation. And I know it's similar wording in the UK. There's actually a joke in France. Lots of people will say, "Oh, I drank a bit too much last night," because moderation didn't turn up. So I didn't drink with him. So it is ridiculous. I just think you're effectively, you're not saying what it is. You're not explaining it clearly, and yet you expect people to have a level of self-control over a drug which makes you lose control. And that, to me, is just completely farcical. My view is it should be different. I don't think we should talk about moderation anymore. I think we should talk about maybe levels, levels of toxicity, maybe dosage, and certainly calories. I think that could be something, more warnings on the bottles around this bottle of wine contains 800 calories. Maybe that would make certain people think slightly differently about how they drink. The levels of toxicity. If you were to drink 2 bottles of this wine, you would have X amount of alcohol in your blood, and that could lead to XXX. I don't know, but I certainly think the whole, moderation talk is just an utter nonsense. And the reality is I didn't want to moderate. I absolutely didn't. In fact, even mentioning the word to me when I was drinking was something that would just make me, I've said this before and it's in my book, want to hit the fuck it button and just go further. So yeah, I couldn't do it. And I think many people can't, and I think it's time to talk about something different and look at a different way of getting people to think about their consumption.
I think one of the things also we've talked about a lot on this podcast is how developing a problem with alcohol. We've both said in the past that's not your fault. It's such a tricky customer. It's such an easy thing to fall foul of. The way that society encourages the consumption of alcohol, that is diminishing actually. It's certainly in the last few years I've noticed that the sort of characterization of alcohol is changing. The sort of the emergence of non-alcoholic alternatives, and the sort of, I think the younger generation, I think the sheer cost of alcohol is something which is changing. But we've talked about the look, if you end up with drink becoming a problem, it's not your fault. It's just you it's almost unavoidable. But what is your responsibility is to do something about it. And one of the things that you have to do is you've got to be honest with yourself. And I'm speaking from experience here, because I spent a long time convincing myself that I could moderate, that I'm okay. And you've got to be honest with yourself and say, I can't. That's the thing that catches me out. That's the thing that catches me out. And I would, as for example, going back to my 4-drink rule, by about the last third of the second drink, I was already planning how I was going to keep this going. Like, I thought, I don't want to stop after another 2, so make the drinks a lot bigger. If you are prone to that type of thinking, if you've got an addictive personality, if that is in you, that's not your fault. It's in you. You can't change that. But what you can do is be really honest about it. And yeah, final point from me, just to sort of re-echo your thing about the drinks industry and their sort of pathetic, half-assed attempts to sound, it's pure virtue signalling. It's pure sort of, look, we're saying the right thing in the same breath. The term that they use here in the UK is drink responsibly. I mean,
that's it, yeah.
Like, come off it. Like, you might as well say, run round the garden naked responsibly. Those two things do not actually, there's a juxtaposition. Drinking is not, by its nature, you can't drive, you can't operate machinery. That is not a responsible activity. So it's mental. I can't believe we haven't talked more about it, because it's, as I think about it, it was the thing that really caught me out time and time again. And ultimately, I just wasn't being honest with myself. And it was when I started being really honest and said, you know what, Mark, stop fooling yourself. You can't really control this. So there's only really one option for you.
Yeah, it's I guess just from my side, to sort of wrap things up, we talk about moderation, and it makes me smile, because when you are having issues with alcohol, which we were, and you get someone who comes out with the golden phrase of, "Why don't you just drink a bit less? You know,
Yeah.
why don't you try and control? Why don't you moderate?" And it just isn't possible. I read the book by, oh my God, we're having a terrible day today. We can't remember anybody. The comedian who's been in hot water recently,
Oh, Russell Brand.
Russell Brand, thank you. Not condoning anything, but he did write a book. It's a factual thing. And one of the things he does talk about in that book is the fact that the only way, in his eyes, that you can beat this thing is through abstinence. There is no middle ground. You cannot moderate. If you are in that problem category, the chances of you being able to go back to what in your eyes or other people's eyes would be a reasonable drinker, responsible drinker, it's brilliant, that it's not going to happen. And why would you want it to? That's the other thing. So there definitely has to be a change in rhetoric. There has to be a rethink. I mean, it's not even worth the label it's printed on to put these things. No one reads it. No one looks at it. It's utter nonsense. So, I think moderation needs to be, replaced with abstinence. It needs to be replaced with harder, more realistic facts, things that people can use to actually think about, am I really drinking too much? Because we get it in our minds, and we want also we look, and we've all done it. I know you have, and I have. We will also look to groups of people. We will look to the information we want to read that reassures us that actually our high level of drinking isn't as bad as it sounds, if that makes sense. So,
It is.
I can remember typing in "is one bottle of wine" and finding some article about red wine and, all this sort of, yeah, and yeah, it could be okay, and it's not. So, yeah, moderation. Let us know what you think.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, you can tell as well with people that, like, people who do suffer from a slight drink problem. I noticed it. I notice it with friends of ours when we go out. They are keen to tell you how little they drank. Oh, we didn't drink very much last night. Oh,
Great
yeah,
point.
on Saturday we didn't. Oh, but we didn't drink very much. And they're sort of keen to sort of, and again, I just put that down to the paranoia and the vulnerability and the sort of slight shame that we always carry when it comes to thinking about alcohol and yet again, just another fascinating subject. So, look, we're going to have to leave it there because we've got a bit of a schedule today. Sorry, we've been away for a week. It's been largely because I've been absolutely wiped out with this bout of man flu that I've been dealing with. So, but we are back now, and so yeah, we need to wrap it up. So, anything else, Matt? Anything else to add or?
No, just I think we've all been. I think even people who end up not having a drink problem will at some point have lied about moderation. We're all there, with our parents. Oh, what'd you do last night? Did you drink much? No. We just had a couple. Utter nonsense. But there we go. Give us your thoughts. Give us your comments. Let's hear what you folks think, because these are just our views. We love having yours too. So thank you to all of you who take the time to watch us. We really, really do appreciate it. My daughter asks me sometimes, "Oh, how's the channel going?" She's 13. She doesn't watch it, but and I tell her how many people we get watching each week and how many people subscribe, and she smiles a bit because she's watching Mr. Beast and things like that, and she's like, I don't know how many millions he has, but it doesn't matter. The point is, we enjoy doing this. We do it because we hope it helps. It helps us, and if that's good for you folks watching, it's good for us too.
Cool, lovely. All right, brilliant. Well, listen, stay safe, everybody. It's a bit of a mad world out there at the moment, so stay safe, stay sober. Like we always say, never quit quitting. It's goodbye from me.
It's goodbye from me.
It's goodbye from him. Till the next time. Cheers. Bye for now.
Bye.